We had such a wonderful day today.
Yeah.
Oh, Erica, it's such a pleasure. We looked through all of those different fun dies from my cube, Serendipity. I hope you enjoyed it.
I've had a great time, but it looks like you've got one more for me.
Yes, I saved a low dot for you. I love the circle die. I love it. I think it's such a wonderful die that you can learn so many different things with it, and you can use it to learn how to do machine applique, hand applique, or fusible applique. And it's a very modern shape. So for all the modern quilters out there, take your circle and start creating with it. So this one, what I think we can do is let's start by learning how to do machine applique.
Okay.
And hand applique. I want your dies to work for you. I want them so you enjoy them in any possible way. So by sharing what I do with them, maybe you get an idea how this die can work for you as a scissors that you can use for cutting fabrics or cutting paper. Yes, I said paper. So if you wanted to, you can use those dies, take a freezer paper, and I normally use freezer paper as my template material to make shapes for my hand applique or machine applique. So I would take my freezer paper. You can buy it in any grocery store. I fold it down because I want to cut at least 4 layers of the paper at once. I place it right over my circle, take my mat, and look at this. I'm going to put it right through Baby Go. Yeah. And look at how quickly I can cut a circle shape. Look at them.
Circles are so hard to cut perfectly.
You have no idea. When I have to do berries for my quilts, like this one right there, it takes so much time to cut the individual circles. No longer you use one of your dies and you can cut your berries really quickly. So right now I have all these fun templates. The edges are perfect. And what I'm going to do is, let me move this to the side. I'm gonna take my fabric, and first thing, I like to put my freezer paper shiny side down, just like this. Let me show you. I run my iron over very quickly with a pair of scissors. I'm gonna cut it around, leaving a 1/4 inch, at least 1/4 inch, and you can cut it quickly. You don't have to be accurate.
Okay, so we don't have to be perfect with
this.
this.
Because we're just cutting a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're gonna roll those edges around in just a minute. And look at this. Leave yourself at least a 1/4 inch. You wanna give yourself some room. So I quickly cut those. And look at this. Now I take my perfect template, take it back off. I'm gonna use a touch of a glue. Just put a little X through the center, just so it stays and doesn't move. Place it right in the center, just like this. And what I'm going to do is with my iron, I'm gonna take the edges and start roll them towards the shiny side of the freezer paper. Look what happened. Do you see?
Yes.
And I turn it around. I go a little forward, and then I go back. And I now roll the edges really nice. And again, lift it up,
look at that.
Forward,
and they just stick
and
right
go
there, don't
back. Yes, and in no time, you're gonna have a wonderful circle where all the edges are rolled around it. You can also take a needle, a cotton thread, and baste it and pull the basting. Some girls like to do that. I use my iron. I get a nice crisp edge.
Yes, you do.
Just like this. Go forward and turn back. Yes, you make sure you have those edges sticking down. That's wonderful. Another one. Look at this. In no time, I have a wonderful circle. And if any of the edges don't want to stick, that's what you're gonna use, a touch of glue, and it will work, but it's just to give you an idea. Roll the edges around the template. Some girls like to use a little starch, extra starch, that gives a little stiffness to the edges. I like to use a best press, just to give a little wetness and little stiffness to it, but not too much, because you don't want to disturb the template. But look at this. Now look at this edge, how nice it is. So my little shape is ready, that I can take a background, and this particular shape works great with charm packs.
Oh,
so
great.
get yourself a little charm packs, maybe a modern one or maybe blue and white one. And this is one of my newest collection called Blue Barn. And you can quickly start making circles. And look at this, the little sticky right here from the freezer paper. You place it right like this.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I'm going to take my iron.
Okay.
Press it in place, make sure that it's center. And now I am ready to take my circle and start applique by hand or by machine. So right here, I wanted to show you, I'm going to switch this one around, this green one. If I do hand applique, I'm going to take a cotton thread.
Okay.
I have an applique needle from Tulip.
Okay.
And I'm going to use a small slip stitch and just stitch around the edges. If you don't want to applique by hand, you can easily use this block and applique on your sewing machine. Taking it, cotton thread, putting in a bobbin, then again we're gonna use the invisible thread for the top or cotton thread for the top and stitching around the edges with small zigzag. That's how you would do machine applique. Remember, when you're stitching on a machine, your applique position is more onto the background. You're just slipping off the edge of your applique.
Okay.
It's very important to do that because later on we're gonna cut the back, we're gonna remove that freezer paper, and
so
it's
if you've
perfect.
sewn through it, it won't pop out for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you would like to try those, if you wanted to, you can also pull this paper right out. Notice it. So I'm gonna pull this one out and look at the edges still raw on there beautifully. So I have that circle shape right here and I can just do hand applique and never have to cut it back to remove the paper. I like keeping the paper, it keeps me organized and gives me a perfect edges.
It does.
So that would be our hand and machine applique. If you wanted to, also you can use this wonderful die to do a very quick quilt, and this is just like a snowball. And I mean it. You make one, you want to make a dozen, you want to throw them around and you want to play with it. And what I did is I took a charm pack, I put a fusible webbing on every single one of them, very light fusible webbing, and then ran through the die through my Go Baby and cut a bunch of them and just fuse them down.
They're so fun.
Yes, and again, you can, when you finish them, just get your CD with beautiful stitches, download to your sewing machine and use that embroidered CD to practice all different stitches. Just remember, your sewing machine only sew straight. It's not a car, so don't use this as your steering wheel, okay? Promise me that when you sew around the curve, around the circle, you're gonna start up at the point, you're gonna go straight line, stop, needle position down, lift the foot, turn, then start sewing a little bit, stop, lift the foot up, needle position down, and turn. And that's how you go around the circle with a small straight section, and it gives you the best curve. If you try to turn this and pull, your edge is gonna be rolling around and you're not going to be happy. And all that I want you to do is do what you love, Moa, quilt, and be happy with your project.